Hi everybody, it's me, Betty B, and I'm here to share with you today another Cards by the Yard project. And my Cards by the Yard are the ones that are easy to make, a bunch of them at a time. And today we're welcoming spring. I know it's been winter for a long time this year, so kind of helping it along here a little bit. So today I've got a little card that it's so much fun, so easy to do, and I'm going to share with you just how to make them. Okay, so let's start with an A2 size card base. This is half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, scored in half. So we have it down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. The first thing we're going to do is emboss the front, and I'm going to use a brand new Cuttlebug folder that I just got called Baby's Breath. It's a sweet little kind of a starburst flower image, and I'm going to line it up right along the score line, right on the edge of the design, right down here, and get my sandwich ready. I've got an A plate, a B plate. I'm going to just line it up here, put another B plate on top, and have it all ready to go through the Cuttlebug. Take off the plates and open up the folder and look at that design. Isn't that the coolest little thing? So simple, so fast, and what a super project we got going here. Okay, now the next step is to add the frame, and we're going to use a 2-step frame. And this one I cut from the Close to My Heart Art Philosophy cartridge. And this one is a frame that you will find on page 37. Find that I like to cut my background just 1/4 of an inch smaller than the front most of the time. Now sometimes I don't for particular reasons, but this usually gives me just kind of a little bit of leeway when it comes to gluing it on there, so that I don't have to have it exact without anything peeping around the edges. A little tip for you there. So I cut my base layer, which is shape number 7, at 4 1/4 inches. And then the layer, which is the white part, the frame part, I cut at 4 1/2 inches. Anyway, this is how we're going to layer this part of it together. Super fast, super easy. And the next thing that we're going to do is work on a little strip of these tulips. Let me pull one of the cards over so you can see what we're working with here. Okay, these little tulips are going to go right under here and add that little touch of springtime. And so how is that done? I have a Martha Stewart punch called Tulip Garden. Turn around so you can see it. And it's one of these that just folds up, but it's not a punch around the page. I don't think it is. It's just a darling little springtime straight line punch. And I have punched out just a long line of them, and I'm going to show you how I colored them up. Super fun. And I just use it as a background and lay my little tulips down on there, and these are my markers that I've used. How cool that is. And we're going to use these little flowers right here underneath of our bunnies. Now the bunny is a design of my own. I just decided to bring him back out, and I cut him at 1 3/4 inches, and I'm using a warm 1 gray and just doing a flick of color right there on his ear, which is going to make that ear recess a little bit, make it look like it's the back ear. And that's all the colors that I used. That's the whole kit and caboodle today. I added a pearl to for his eye. So, are we ready to start putting this together? I think I am. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is just hold this up and decide how many of the little flowers are going to fit inside my frame. And I'm going to just grab my scissors and snip off the ones that I don't need, which is going to be right about there. Okay, I don't need those for this one, but I'm going to use them with the rest of it because we are doing cards by the yard, right? Okay, so now I have that, and I can grab my glue. So now I will add just a touch of liquid glue back here and have it all set. And a little more on this side and we are good to go. All right. I hope that's in frame. Sorry if it's not. Good. Okay. Now I'm going to put some glue around here and around this little opening so that when I put on my backing piece, you're going to be able, it'll hold it right into place. Okay. All right. And now I'm going to take this piece and line it up just like that. Super easy. Flip her over and it's time to insert the bunny. And I'm just going to put a little bit of wet glue right here on the back of the bunny. And take my bunny and slide him down behind the flowers because he's just snuggled right there in the garden. Ta-da! And we are now ready to add some dimensionals on the back because with our texture on the front, we are popping this right up. This is going to be a really nice piece. And we'll pull all these little sticky things off. And they come off nice and easy. Okay, now we've got our dimensionals put on here and we're ready to move to the next step. Okay, so now after we have our frame popped up onto the front of the card, it's time to add the sentiment on here. And I also used the Art Philosophy cartridge for this one, and it's on page 56. And I used shape number 4, and I cut that at 1 inch. And again, I used the white glossy paper for this piece here, and that's going to be our Happy Spring right here. So let me show you how I did this, and I used my embossing buddy just to take out any static that might be stuck onto there. And I used a Stamp-A-Majig for this, and if you're not familiar with a Stamp-A-Majig, let me show you with you how cool this is. It helps me to make sure that I get my message, my sentiment straight on a piece that might have some shape to it, or sometimes it's a little hard to be able to see exactly how your sentiment is going to line up. And you stamp right onto this little plastic piece, and then you lay down this little corner piece, this little grid holder, take away the plastic, and then you take your stamp, and it can be on an acrylic block or it can be a wooden one. And I honestly don't know where I got this darling little Happy Spring one. It's been in my stash forever. I left a little bit of ink on there so you could see what it looks like. Then you can take this away. We're finished with it, and our Happy Spring is stamped perfectly straight on there. I'm going to use embossing powder on here, and I've got a luscious one called Grape Sherbet. And this comes from Sparkle and Sprinkle. It's a very fine iridescent powder, and I'm going to use it right over top of a coffee filter because coffee filters have no stucco. That'll go right back into the bottle, and you always want to just check and make sure that your embossing powder doesn't stick any place that you don't want it to go. because wherever it is, it's going to give you a beautiful glossy look. And we've got a nice clean image here. I'll turn on the heat gun so that it gets warm. And with glossy paper, you want to be careful with it so that it doesn't bubble. You don't want to overheat it. So you want to be careful just to heat it enough. You want to watch carefully, and as soon as your embossing powder melts, you want to get the heat away from it so you don't destroy your paper itself. And right now I'm just going to get a little bit of heat going, and I can see that embossing powder already melting, turning to a beautiful shimmery glossy lusciousness, and it's just gorgeous. This is called grape sherbet, but it's really a lovely iridescent color that goes great for spring. And we're all done with that. And I'm going to be careful with my image. Let me go here. Not to smear it. I want to give it a moment to cool off. Take a couple more pop-ups and put on the back. And we're going to let that curve of the sign go right up into the grass. And next we're going to add some butterflies. I used a Martha Stewart punch called Pop-Up Butterflies and vellum. I love using vellum for lots of little things, and this is the image that I used, and every other one pops out, and then these I could just fold them up just like this, and this I can use for another project. And the little butterflies that were the cast off get a whole new life as little fun little guys here. So I'm going to fold them in half, put a little bit of glue right down the center. I love to fold them, and then we're going to let them just randomly fly. We're going to put 3 of them on each of the cards. And I'm going to let that dry for just a couple minutes while we're doing the pearls. And then we'll be back to our butterflies. 1, 2, 3. Again, doing cards by the yard is a great assembly line project. So that if I were doing 4, 8, 12 of these cards, excuse me, I could lay out all of the parts and pieces and just go right on down the line, doing one and then the next and then the next, and by the time each part of the project is finished, the next one is ready to go. Okay, now I'm going to embellish this with some pearls, and I'm going to just add them right to these where the natural holes are right there, and then I want to come in and make it look like each side of this little sentiment tag is held on with a pearl, and that looks really nice. And I'm going to use a Jelly Roll glitter pen, and the clear base, there's no color to it, but it has a little bit of shimmer in the ink itself, and I'm going to use this and go over each one of the little tulips just to give it a little extra sparkle. It doesn't cover up the color that we already put on it, but it makes it just have a little extra pizzazz there. And then as the butterflies are drying, I'm also going to add a little bit of that same sparkle to each one of the butterflies. You know what? Kind of like these little flowers out here too. So on my baby's breath, the ones that I can see the centers for, I'm just going to add that little sparkle out here. Some of the other ones I used a sanding block and did that, but there we go, all finished. So I hope you enjoyed our Cards by the Yard project today, and I have some more projects that are in the works I'll be back to share with you soon. Thanks so much for stopping by today. This is Betty B. Happy spring. Bye-bye now.